Camille Brennan's building was on fire at 2:30 in the morning on a Thursday in October. The Mafia boss who owned the property kicked down her door and carried her out through the flames. 20 days later, she was still living in his penthouse and couldn't remember why she'd ever thought that was temporary. Camille had lived in apartment 4B for 2 years, long enough to know which floorboards creaked, long enough to have her favorite coffee shop memorized by order, long enough to know exactly who Luca Santoro was and why everyone in Park Slope either respected him or pretended they didn't know his name. She'd figured it out 3 months after moving in. Mrs. Rodriguez from 1B had mentioned it casually over mail collection. The Santoro family has owned buildings here for 40 years. Luca took over when his father died. Good man. Keeps the building nice. Don't ask what else he does. Camille was a third-grade teacher. She taught 8-year-olds about fractions and state capitals and treating people with kindness. She didn't ask what else people did. She just made sure to never be in the hallway when Luca was. Made sure to leave for school early if she heard his footsteps above her. Made sure to take the stairs if she saw him waiting for the elevator. He'd noticed. She knew he'd noticed. Sometimes she caught him watching her with an expression she couldn't read. Not threatening. Just aware. Like he understood exactly why she avoided him and accepted it without question. 2 years of successful avoidance. 2 years of living one floor below a man whose last name showed up in news articles with words like alleged and under investigation. 2 years of pretending she lived in a normal building with a normal landlord. Thursday started normal enough. Camille woke at 6 to her alarm, showered, made coffee that tasted like it cost $3 instead of the $12 she couldn't afford at the fancy place 2 blocks over. Put on dark jeans and a sweater because parent-teacher conferences meant she'd be at school until 7 that night. The train was packed. She stood pressed between a man reading news on his phone and a woman who smelled aggressively like vanilla perfume. 40 minutes from Astoria to the school in Park Slope. She'd gotten good at tuning out the sounds, at thinking about lesson plans instead of the invasion of personal space. PS 321 was an old building that smelled like industrial cleaner and children. Camille had been teaching 3rd grade there for 5 years. Room 204. 23 students. Colorful posters about kindness and reading covered every available wall space. Her desk was organized chaos. Student work to grade. Lesson plans to revise. Art supplies that somehow multiplied when she wasn't looking. Parent-teacher conferences were exhausting. 15-minute blocks from 3 in the afternoon until 7 at night. Smiling. Explaining that yes, Jamie was doing fine in math but needed to work on staying focused. That Sophia's reading had improved dramatically. That Marcus was a delight but talked during quiet time, over and over. Different parents. Same conversations with slight variations. By 7, she was drained. She stopped at the grocery store on the way home. Bought pasta and sauce and vegetables she'd probably forget to cook before they went bad. Walked the 4 blocks to her building carrying cloth bags that cut into her fingers. The building was quiet when she entered. She checked her mailbox. Bills. A flyer for a pizza place. Nothing interesting. Climbed the 4 flights of stairs because the elevator was slow, and she needed the exercise after sitting all day. Her apartment was exactly as she'd left it. Small. 1 bedroom. Kitchen that barely fit 1 person. But it was hers. Rent controlled at $1,400 a month, which was a miracle in Brooklyn. She'd probably live here until they forced her out. She made pasta. Ate it while grading papers at her small dining table. Checked her phone and saw 3 texts from her friend Sarah asking about weekend plans. Responded with maybes because she was too tired to commit to anything. By 11, she'd finished grading. Planned tomorrow's lesson. Set up materials for the field trip to the Brooklyn Museum on Friday. Her students were excited. She was exhausted just thinking about managing 23 3rd graders in a museum. Midnight she was still wired. Her brain wouldn't shut off. This happened sometimes. Insomnia that crept in when she was overtired. She took her prescription sleeping pill. The one her doctor had prescribed 6 months ago when she'd admitted she sometimes went 3 days barely sleeping. The pill worked. By 12:30, she was unconscious. She didn't hear the first alarm go off. Didn't hear the second. didn't hear people shouting in the hallway. The sleeping pill had knocked her so far under that the world could have ended and she'd have slept through it. What finally woke her was the smell. Smoke. Thick and chemical and wrong. Camille opened her eyes. Her bedroom was hazy. She sat up, confused, brain still foggy from the medication. Smoke was coming from under her bedroom door. Not a little. A lot. She stumbled out of bed, opened the bedroom door. The hallway of her apartment was filled with black smoke, thick enough that she couldn't see 3 feet ahead. Fire alarm. She could hear it now. Screaming from somewhere. Not in her apartment. Outside. Below. She ran to her apartment door. Put her hand near the knob. It was hot. Too hot. Her firefighter training from elementary school kicked in. Don't open a hot door. Backdraft. Opening it could let fire rush in. She was trapped. Camille ran to the window. Looked down. 4 stories. Too high to jump. The fire escape that used to be outside her window had been removed 3 months ago. Renovation. Luca had said they'd install a new one. They hadn't yet. Smoke was getting thicker. Lower. She crouched near the window. Opened it. Fresh air hit her face. She could breathe better. But she was still trapped. Below she could see people on the street. Fire trucks weren't there yet. But people were evacuating, running out of the building. She tried to scream. Her throat was raw. Nothing came out loud enough. Meanwhile, Luca had woken the moment the first alarm sounded. He slept light. Always had. His father had trained him that way. Never be caught unaware. He'd pulled on jeans and a t-shirt in under 30 seconds. Boots. Went immediately to his door. The hallway smelled like smoke. Not on his floor yet, but coming. He took the stairs down, fast, started banging on doors. Fire! Everyone out! Now! 5th floor, the Johnsons. He pounded on 5A. Fire! Get your family out! The door opened. Tom Johnson, holding his 3-year-old daughter. What? Fire! 2nd floor! Get out! Now! They ran. 4th floor. He banged on 4A, empty. They'd moved out last month, then 4B. Camille's apartment. He pounded. Fire! Camille, open the door. Nothing. He tried the knob, locked. He pounded again. Camille. No response. He continued down. Had to get everyone else out first. 3rd floor. Kelly and the roommates evacuated quickly. 2nd floor was already burning. He could see flames through the doorway of 2A, the apartment under renovation. That's where it had started. 1st floor. Mrs. Rodriguez was struggling with her walker. He picked her up, actually lifted the 70-year-old woman into his arms. Mr. Santoro, my walker. I'll get you a new one. Move. He carried her out to the street, set her down carefully. Tommy, one of his guys who lived 2 blocks over, was already there. Boss, firefighters are 2 minutes out. Luca was already counting heads. The Martins from 2B, the roommates from 3A, Kelly from 3B, the Johnsons from 5A, Mrs. Rodriguez from 1B. He looked up at the building. 4th floor, smoke pouring from windows. Where's the girl from 4B? He demanded. Mrs. Rodriguez gasped. Camille! Dios mío, I didn't see her. She works late, someone said. She's probably sleeping. She never hears anything. I had to wake her up once when the alarm went off for a drill. Luca looked at the building. Flames visible on the 2nd floor now. Smoke heavy on the 3rd and 4th. Firefighters coming but not here yet. He didn't think. He just moved. Boss! Tommy grabbed his arm. You can't... Luca shook him off. Someone threw water on him. His shirt soaked. He held it over his face and ran back into the building. The lobby was filling with smoke. The stairs were worse. He took them 2 at a time. 2nd floor was an inferno. He ran past the open door of 2A. Heat blasted him. Flames reached into the hallway. 3rd floor. Smoke so thick he was navigating by memory and touch. One hand on the wall, moving fast. 4th floor. Couldn't see anything. Smoke burned his eyes. He found 4B by counting doors, pounded on it. "Camille!" Faint sound from inside. Maybe. He couldn't tell. The door was locked. He backed up, kicked. His boot hit just below the lock. The door shook but didn't open. Kicked again, harder. The wood cracked. Third kick. The door smashed inward. Smoke poured out. He went in low. The air was better near the floor. He crawled into the apartment. Flames hadn't reached inside yet, but smoke had. Thick and choking. "Camille!" A cough. Toward the window. He crawled in that direction. Found her on the floor below the window. She was conscious. Barely. Coughing violently. He grabbed her, lifted her. She was light but limp. Hard to hold. He got her over his shoulder. "Fireman Carey. I've got you. Don't fight me." She didn't respond, just coughed. He carried her to the door. The hallway was worse now. He could hear wood cracking somewhere. The building was old. It wouldn't last long once fire got into the bones of it. He moved as fast as he could with her weight. Down the stairs. Third floor landing. A beam fell from the ceiling. He saw it coming. Turned. Took the hit on his back and shoulder. Pain exploded. He ignored it, kept moving. Second floor. Fire everywhere. The door to 2A was fully engulfed. Flames reached across the hallway. He ran through. Felt heat. Smelled burning. Didn't stop. First floor. Almost there. Through the lobby. The door to the street. Fresh air hit him like a gift. Cool October night. People shouting. Fire trucks arriving. He laid Camille on the grass. Paramedics were there in seconds. Oxygen mask on her face. Checking her vitals. She opened her eyes. Confused. Scared. Coughing. She looked up at him. Recognition hit her face. Not relief. Wariness. Even now. Even after everything. She saw him and her first instinct was caution. "You're safe," he said. His voice was rough from smoke. "Just breathe." Paramedics pushed him back. "Sir, we need space." "I'm coming with her." "Sir, you need medical attention too. You're back." "I'm coming with her." His tone didn't allow argument. They loaded Camille into the ambulance. He climbed in after her. Sat on the bench seat while they worked. She looked at him. Eyes glassy from smoke and fear and medication wearing off. "You went in," she said. Her voice was barely there. "You were inside. You could have died." He didn't respond. Just watched as they adjusted her oxygen. The hospital was bright and loud and smelled like antiseptic. They tried to separate them. Luca refused. Followed Camille's gurney until a doctor physically blocked him. "Sir, you need to be examined. After. You have a head wound. Your back. After." They compromised. Let him sit in the hallway outside Camille's room while they treated her. A nurse cleaned the cut on his forehead. 3 stitches. Checked his back where the beam had hit. Bruised but nothing broken. Burns on his hands. Minor. He barely felt them. 2 hours later, they let him in. Camille was awake. Sitting up in the hospital bed. Oxygen tube in her nose. She looked small in the hospital gown. Young. Vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. She watched him enter. Wary still. Even now. He sat in the chair next to the bed. Didn't speak. Just sat. "Thank you," she finally said. Her voice was rough. "For getting me out." "Don't thank me. You saved my life." "Anyone would have." "No." She looked at him directly. They wouldn't have. Firefighters weren't there yet. You went in anyway. Silence stretched between them. "I know who you are," she said quietly. "I know you know. I've been avoiding you for 2 years. I noticed." She looked down at her hands. They had small burns, bandaged. "Why did you come for me?" "Because you were in there. You don't even know me." He looked at her. Really looked at her. "Doesn't matter." The doctor came in before she could respond. Explained she had smoke inhalation. Minor burns. They wanted to keep her for observation until morning. She'd be fine but needed rest and to avoid exertion. Luca stayed. Sat in the chair while she dozed, left only once to make phone calls. Tommy confirmed everyone got out. The second floor was destroyed. Third and fourth had heavy damage. Building wasn't safe. Red tagged. Everyone displaced. When Camille woke again, it was dawn. Light coming through the hospital window. She looked at him. He was still there, sitting in the same chair. His clothes were filthy with smoke and soot. "You stayed," she said. "Wasn't going to leave you here alone. You should go home. Sleep. Don't have one right now. Building's red tagged." She processed this. "Where are you going to stay? I have places. What about everyone else? Mrs. Rodriguez? The Johnsons? Tommy's handling it. My family owns other buildings. We'll find them places." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Everything I own burned." It wasn't a question, but he answered anyway. "Yes. My clothes, my lesson plans, photos from my parents, everything. Yes." She looked away. He saw her throat work, swallowing emotion. "I don't have anywhere to go," she said finally. "I can stay with my friend Sarah, but she has a studio apartment in Queens. There's no room, really. My parents are in Oregon. I can't just leave my job." "You'll stay with me." She looked at him sharply. "What?" "The penthouse. It's not damaged. You'll stay there." "I can't do that." "Why not?" "Because I don't know you. Because you're—" She stopped. "Because I'm what I am," he finished. "Yes. And you've been avoiding me for 2 years because of it." "Yes." He leaned forward. "I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm telling you that you need a place to stay, and I have one. That's all this is." "That's not all this is." "No," he agreed. "But it's all it needs to be right now." She stared at him. He could see her thinking, calculating, trying to figure out if this was a trap or genuine help. "1 week," she finally said. "Just until I figure something out. However long you need. 1 week." "Fine." The doctor discharged her at 8 in the morning. Luca had Tommy bring clothes. Jeans and a t-shirt that were too big but clean. Shoes that almost fit. They took a car service back to Park Slope. The building looked worse in daylight. Windows broken, smoke damage visible. Fire trucks were gone, but police tape blocked the entrance. They went around to the back entrance, up the back stairs. The penthouse was on the 6th floor, away from the damage. He unlocked the door and let her inside. The space was not what she expected. Industrial, masculine, but also beautiful. Exposed brick walls, enormous windows, hardwood floors, art on the walls, real art, not prints, original pieces. "Guest room is down the hall," he said. "Second door, bathroom attached. There's clothes in the closet that should fit. My sister stays sometimes." Camille walked slowly through the space, taking it in. The kitchen with marble counters. The living area with leather furniture. The view of Manhattan in the distance. "This is where you live." "Yes. It's not what I expected." "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Something more... criminal?" His tone was dry. She had the grace to look embarrassed. "I didn't mean..." "Yes, you did. It's fine. You're not wrong." She didn't know what to say to that. "Guest room," he repeated. "Get some rest. I have calls to make." She went. Found the guest room. It was simple, clean. A queen bed with white linens. A dresser. A closet with clothes that actually did look like they'd fit. She sat on the bed, stared at the wall, tried to process the last 8 hours. Her building had caught fire. Luca Santoro had kicked down her door, had carried her through flames, had stayed at the hospital, was now letting her stay in his penthouse. Luca Santoro. The man she'd been avoiding for 2 years. The man whose last name was associated with organized crime. The man who'd just saved her life. She lay back on the bed, closed her eyes, and for the first time in 2 years, thought maybe she'd been wrong about him. Or maybe she'd been right, and it didn't matter anymore. She fell asleep not knowing which scared her more. When she woke, it was afternoon, 2 p.m. according to the clock on the nightstand. She'd slept for 4 hours. Her throat still hurt. Her hands ached under the bandages. She got up, went to the bathroom, looked at herself in the mirror. She looked terrible. Face smudged with soot she hadn't washed off properly at the hospital. Hair a disaster, eyes red from smoke. She showered. The water pressure was incredible. The shower itself had 6 different heads. There were expensive products, shampoo and conditioner and body wash that smelled like cedar and something else she couldn't identify. She wrapped herself in a towel. A big, fluffy towel that probably cost more than her entire bath collection had. Then she realized she'd forgotten to bring clothes into the bathroom. She opened the door a crack, peeked out. The hallway was empty. She could hear Luca's voice from somewhere, on the phone, speaking Italian. His tone was sharp, business. She made a run for the guest room, wrapped in just the towel, exactly as Luca stepped out of his office. They both froze. She was standing in the hallway, dripping wet, wearing only a towel that suddenly felt much smaller than it had in the bathroom. His eyes dropped, just for a second, then back to her face. But she'd seen it, the way his gaze had traveled, quick, involuntary. "Sorry," she said. "Forgot clothes." "It's fine." His voice was different, rougher. Neither of them moved. "I should..." She gestured toward the guest room. "Right." He stepped aside. She had to pass him in the narrow hallway. Her shoulder almost brushed his chest. She smelled smoke on him still. And underneath that, something else. Something that made her hyper-aware of how little she was wearing. She hurried to the guest room, closed the door, leaned against it. Her heart was pounding, and it had nothing to do with the fire. She dressed quickly. Jeans that fit perfectly. A soft green sweater, even underwear, and a bra that somehow were the right size. His sister had good taste. When she emerged, Luca was in the kitchen. He'd changed too. Clean clothes, hair wet like he'd showered. The cut on his forehead had a fresh bandage. "Coffee?" he offered. "Please." He poured her a cup. Black. She doctored it with cream and sugar from the containers on the counter. They stood on opposite sides of the kitchen island, not speaking. The silence felt heavy with things unsaid. "I need to call my school," she finally said. "Let them know what happened. I'm supposed to have a field trip tomorrow. Phone's charged, on the counter in the guest room." "Thank you." She made the call, spoke to Principal Martinez, explained about the fire. He was immediately concerned, asked if she was okay, if she needed anything. She assured him she was fine. They'd handle the field trip rescheduling. She should take the time she needed. When she came back out, Luca had made food. Sandwiches. Simple but good. Turkey and cheese and vegetables. They sat at the dining table, ate in silence. "Your friends from the building," she said. "Did everyone find places?" "Mrs. Rodriguez is with her daughter in Queens. The Johnsons are in one of my buildings in Carroll Gardens. Everyone's sorted." "What about you, besides here?" "This is fine. But the building, your property, are you..." "Insurance will cover it. I'll rebuild." She took a bite of sandwich, chewed, swallowed. The fire started in 2A, the apartment under renovation. "Electrical. Contractor fucked up the wiring." "Is that what they're saying?" He looked at her. That's what happened. But there was something in his tone, something that made her think there was more to it. "Okay," she said. They finished eating. He cleaned up. She tried to help. He waved her off. "You were in a fire 6 hours ago. Sit down. I can help clean." "Sit down." She sat, watched him wash dishes. His movements were efficient, practiced, like he did this regularly. It was oddly domestic. seeing a man who allegedly ran organized crime operations washing dishes in his kitchen. "This is strange," she said aloud. "What is?" "This. You. Me being here." "Strange how?" "I spent 2 years avoiding you. Now I'm living in your apartment. You're making me lunch. It's surreal." He dried his hands, turned to face her. "Do you want to leave?" "I don't have anywhere to go." "That's not what I asked." She looked at him. Really looked at him. He was handsome. She'd noticed that before, even while avoiding him. Dark hair that was always slightly too long. Strong jaw. Eyes that were brown but almost black in certain lights. Tall. Built like someone who worked with his hands, even though she knew he wore suits to meetings. "No," she said quietly. "I don't want to leave. Then stay. For a week. However long. You keep saying that. Because I mean it." She didn't know what to say to that. So she said nothing. That night she lay in the guest bed, unable to sleep. Not from insomnia this time. From thoughts that wouldn't stop. She kept seeing it. The moment in the hallway. The way he'd looked at her. The way her body had responded to being that close to him. She didn't want to be attracted to him. It complicated everything. He was still who he was. She was still who she was. A third-grade teacher and a man who ran territory for an organized crime family shouldn't make sense together. But she couldn't stop thinking about the way he'd gone into a burning building for her. The way he'd stayed at the hospital. The way he'd offered his home without expecting anything in return. Maybe she'd been wrong about him. Or maybe she was being naive. And this was how it started. How good men got pulled into bad situations. She fell asleep, not knowing which to believe. Day 2 started with her waking to the smell of coffee. She got up, dressed in more borrowed clothes, found Luca in the kitchen again. "Morning?" he said. "Morning." He poured her coffee. She added cream and sugar. They stood in the same positions as yesterday, opposite sides of the island. "I have to go out today," he said. "Business. I'll be back by dinner." "Okay. Tommy will be outside, if you need anything." "I don't need a guard." "You have one anyway. I'm not in danger." "Humor me." She wanted to argue, but the look on his face stopped her. There was something there. Concern, maybe. Or knowledge of something she didn't know. "Fine," she said. He left an hour later. She watched him go. Noticed the way he moved. Confident. Controlled. Like someone who always knew exactly what he was doing. She spent the day exploring the penthouse. It was bigger than she'd realized. The guest room. His room at the other end of the hall. An office. A second bathroom. A laundry room. A rooftop access. She went up to the roof. The view was stunning. Brooklyn spread out below. Manhattan in the distance. The East River glinting. She could see for miles. She understood why he lived here. Why he'd stayed in this neighborhood. It wasn't just business. This was home. She went back inside. Looked at the books on his shelves. Business texts. Art books. History. And tucked behind a thick volume about architecture. A paperback romance novel. She pulled it out. It was well worn. A bookmark on page 247. When he came home that evening, she was sitting on the couch reading it. He saw what she was holding. Stopped. "That's not mine." "It has your name written inside." "My sister left it." "Your sister bookmarked page 247? Must have." "You're lying. You're invading my privacy. You invaded my burning apartment. We're even." He stared at her. She stared back. Then slowly, his mouth curved. Not quite a smile, but close. "Fine. I read romance novels. Happy?" "The big bad mafia boss reads romance novels. I'm not a mafia boss." "What are you then?" "Complicated." She set the book down. "That's a cop-out answer." "It's the truth. The truth is usually more complicated than yes or no." "Exactly." He sat down on the opposite end of the couch. Not close, but not distant either. Are you hungry? I can cook, she offered. You're a guest. I'm a freeloader. You're someone who lost everything in a fire. There's a difference. She looked at her hands. The bandages were still there. They'd need changing soon. I don't like feeling useless. You're not useless. You're recovering. I'm fine. You were in a fire 2 days ago. I'm aware. Then stop trying to be useful and just exist for a minute. She looked at him. His tone was sharp, but his expression wasn't. You're bossy. I own buildings and run a construction company. Bossy is required. Is that all you do? He met her eyes. No. Are you going to tell me what else? Do you want to know? She thought about it. I don't know. That's honest, at least. They ordered Thai food, ate it sitting on the couch with containers spread on the coffee table. She told him about her students, about the field trip that got rescheduled, about Jamie who couldn't sit still and Sophia who read at a 5th grade level. He listened. Actually listened. Asked questions. Seemed genuinely interested. You like teaching, he observed. I love it. Why? Because kids that age still believe the world is good. They're not cynical yet. They think anything is possible. I get to help them believe that a little longer. That's naive. Maybe, but it's also necessary. He didn't argue. Later, she excused herself to change her bandages. She went to the bathroom, unwrapped her hands. The burns were minor, but they still stung. She was trying to apply ointment one-handed when he knocked. Need help? I'm fine. You're fumbling. I can manage. The door opened. He came in. She should have protested. Should have told him to leave. But she didn't. He took the ointment from her. Sat on the edge of the tub. Gestured for her hands. She gave them to him. His touch was careful. Gentle. He applied the ointment with steady fingers. Then wrapped new bandages. Not too tight. Not too loose. Perfect. Where did you learn to do this? She asked. My father. He believed in being prepared. For what? Everything. He finished. But he didn't let go of her hands. Just held them. Looking at the bandages. At the burns underneath. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what? That you were hurt. You saved me. You don't get to apologize. I own the building. The contractor worked for me. This happened because of something I was responsible for. It was an accident. He looked up at her. His eyes were dark. Serious. Was it? She went very still. What does that mean? Nothing. Forget I said it. But she couldn't forget. Because there was something in his voice. Something that said he knew more than he was saying. Luca. Don't ask me questions I can't answer. Can't or won't. Both. They were close, sitting on the bathroom counter and the edge of the tub, his hands still holding hers. She could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could see the scar on his temple from where the beam had hit him. You should go, she whispered. I should. Neither of them moved. Then he stood, released her hands. Good night, Camille. Good night. He left. She sat there for a long moment, heart pounding, hands tingling where he'd touched them. This was dangerous, whatever this was, whatever was building between them. She didn't know if she wanted to stop it. Day 3, she woke to screaming, her own, sitting up in bed, sweat soaking her shirt. The nightmare had been vivid, smoke and flames and being trapped. The door that wouldn't open, the heat, the fear. Her door opened. Luca, hair messy from sleep, wearing only sleep pants. His chest was bare, muscled. She saw scars, old ones. A tattoo on his ribs she couldn't make out in the dim light. You okay? She was breathing hard. Nightmare. Sorry. I didn't mean to wake you. He came in. Sat on the edge of her bed without asking. About the fire? Yes. Want to talk about it? No. Want me to stay? She should say no. Should tell him to go back to his room. But the dream was still vivid. The fear still real. Yes. He nodded. Walked around to the other side of the bed. Lay down on top of the covers. Put space between them. A foot of mattress that felt like miles and inches at the same time. You don't have to. Sleep, Camille. She lay back down, stared at the ceiling, hyper-aware of him next to her, of his breathing, of the heat coming from his body. Thank you, she whispered. Stop thanking me. Why? Because I don't want your gratitude. What do you want? He was quiet for a long time. Then, nothing you're ready to give. She turned her head, looked at him in the darkness. What does that mean? It means go to sleep. She did, eventually. And when she woke in the morning, he was gone. But she could still smell him on the sheets. Cedar and something warmer. Something that made her want to bury her face in the pillow and just breathe. The week passed in a strange rhythm. Mornings with coffee. Him leaving for business. Her spending days reading or planning lessons remotely, or talking to Sarah on the phone. Sarah, who had a million questions about Luca that Camille couldn't answer. Evenings they cooked together, or ordered food, sat on the couch, talked, about small things, safe things. She told him about growing up in Oregon, about her parents who ran a bookstore, about deciding to be a teacher. He told her about his sister, Sophia, who lived in Manhattan and called him constantly to complain about her husband, about his mother in Naples who wanted him to visit, about taking over the business when his father died and feeling like he was drowning for the first year. Do you ever wish you'd done something different? She asked one night. Day 8. They were on the couch with Chinese food containers between them. Every day. Why don't you? Because this is what I know, what I was raised for. You don't just walk away from family. Even if the family is complicated? I was going to say criminal. He smiled. Not quite. That too. Day 10. She went back to school, her first day back. She was nervous. Hadn't seen her students in almost 2 weeks. Didn't know how to explain what happened. Luca insisted on driving her. She protested. He ignored her. The Mercedes pulled up in front of PS 321 at 7:30 in the morning. Every single teacher waiting outside turned to look. This is not subtle, she said. I'm not trying to be subtle. Luca. Camille. She sighed, opened the door, then turned back. Thank you. For the ride. I'll pick you up at 4. You don't have to. 4 o'clock. She got out, walked toward the school. Could feel eyes on her. Could hear whispers starting. Great. Sarah ambushed her at the door. Was that him? Good morning to you too. Camille. Was that the guy, the landlord? Yes. He's hot. Sarah. And that car. Jesus, what does he do? Real estate. Real estate doesn't buy cars like that. Can we not do this right now? Sarah looked at her. Really looked at her. Are you okay? I'm fine. You nearly died. But I didn't. I'm here. I'm fine. Are you staying with him? Temporarily. Camille. What? Be careful. Of what? I don't know. But guys like that, guys with cars like that and eyes like that, they're not safe. I know that. Do you? She didn't answer. The day was exhausting. Her students were excited to see her, had a million questions. She deflected most of them, focused on getting back to routine. At 4 o'clock, she walked outside. The Mercedes was there, Luca leaning against it. Every teacher leaving the building stared. Some whispered. Sarah gave her a look that said they'd be talking later. She got in the car. You're causing a scene. Good. Why is that good? Because now people know you're not alone. Why does that matter? He didn't answer, just pulled into traffic. That night after dinner, she confronted him. Is there something you're not telling me? Many things. About the fire. He set down his fork, looked at her. Why are you asking? Because you've been strange, insisting Tommy follow me, driving me to school, acting like I'm in danger. You are in danger. Her heart skipped. What? The fire wasn't an accident. The words hung in the air between them. What do you mean it wasn't an accident? It was set, deliberately, to send me a message. A message about what? Territory, business, family politics you don't want to know about. She stood up. Someone set my building on fire because of you? Yes. I could have died because of you? Yes. And you didn't think to tell me this? I was trying to protect you. By lying, by keeping you out of it. She was shaking, anger and fear mixing. You saved me from a fire that someone set because of you. Don't you see how fucked up that is? I see it perfectly. And you brought me here, into your home. Are they going to burn this building down too? No. How do you know? Because they've made their point, and because I've made mine. Which is what? That you're under my protection now, and anyone who touches you will answer to me. She stared at him. I didn't ask for your protection. You didn't have to. You can't just decide that. I already did. She wanted to yell, wanted to throw something, wanted to tell him he had no right. But she also understood. In his world, this was how it worked. You protected what was yours, and somewhere in the last 10 days, she'd become his. I should leave, she said. Where would you go? Sarah's, a hotel, anywhere. They know about you now. You're safer here. Safe? I'm living with a man who has enemies that burn buildings down. Yes, that's insane. Yes. And you expect me to just accept that? No. I expect you to be smart enough to see that the safest place for you right now is here. With me. She paced. Tried to think. Everything was complicated now. Before it was simple. He'd saved her. She was grateful. There was attraction, but that was manageable. Now there was danger. Real danger. Because of him. Because of who he was and what he did. I need air, she said. I'll come with you. No. Camille. No. I need space. I need to think. Without you looming over me. He was quiet for a moment, then nodded. The roof. Go to the roof. Tommy will be in the building. You'll be safe. She went. Took the stairs because she needed the physical exertion. Pushed through the door to the rooftop. The night air was cool. Brooklyn spread out below. She could see for miles. She sat on the edge of the roof, feet dangling over. Not too close to the edge, but close enough to feel the height. 20 minutes later, the door opened behind her. She didn't turn. Knew it was him. You said you'd give me space. I gave you 20 minutes. That's space. That's nothing. He sat next to her, not too close, but close enough. Are you going to leave? I don't know. That's honest, at least. They sat in silence. The city noise below, cars and voices and life continuing. My father used to bring me up here, he said. When I was young, before he died, he'd show me the neighborhood, tell me about the families, the history, the territory, tell me that someday it would be mine. Did you want it? I was 10. I wanted to play baseball and read comics. But what I wanted didn't matter. This was family. You could have said no. No, I couldn't. Why not? Because my father built this, my grandfather before him. Walking away would have meant all of that was for nothing, would have meant dishonoring them. In my family, you don't do that. Even if it's wrong? Even then, she looked at him. Do you think it's wrong? What you do? Parts of it. Which parts? The parts that put you in danger. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. She turned back to the view. I should be scared of you. You are scared of me. Not enough, apparently. He smiled. Small. No, not enough. They sat for a while longer. Then she stood. He stood with her. They faced each other on the rooftop with the city behind them. I'm staying, she said. Not because I want your protection, but because I don't have anywhere else to go. And because despite everything, I trust you. You shouldn't. I know. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. The touch was gentle, brief, but it sent electricity through her. Go inside, he said. It's cold. In a minute. She watched him go, waited until the door closed. Then she sat back down, tried to process everything. Someone had set her building on fire because of him. She could have died because of his world, his enemies, his life. And she was choosing to stay anyway. Maybe Sarah was right. Maybe she wasn't being careful enough. Or maybe she was exactly as careful as she wanted to be. Day 15 arrived with a shift in the air between them. Something had changed after the rooftop conversation. The truth was out. The danger was acknowledged. And somehow that made everything more intense. She woke to find him in the kitchen as usual. Coffee made, breakfast started. But when she walked in, the way he looked at her was different. More open, less guarded. Morning, she said. Morning. She poured coffee, added cream and sugar, turned to find him watching her. What? Nothing. You're staring. I'm looking. It's the same thing. Not quite. Heat crept up her neck. Stop. Stop what? You know what? He smiled. Actually smiled. Do I? Luca. Camille. She wanted to be annoyed, wanted to tell him to stop being difficult. But she was smiling too, despite everything, despite the danger and the complications and the impossibility of this. Day 16, she met his uncle Giuseppe. The meeting was accidental. Or maybe not accidental at all. Giuseppe showed up at the penthouse at 7 p.m. with bags of food. I brought dinner, he announced, walking in like he owned the place. He was older, 60s, silver hair, sharp eyes that took in everything. Zio, Luca said, standing from the couch. You should have called. Why? You'd tell me not to come. Giuseppe turned to Camille, looked her up and down. So this is the girl. Camille, she said, extending her hand. He ignored it, pulled her into a hug instead. Giuseppe, Luca's uncle, and you're the teacher he pulled from the fire. That's me. You're pretty, smart too if you teach children. Thank you. He set the food on the counter, started unpacking. Luca's mother called me, wants to know why he hasn't told her about you. There's nothing to tell, Luca said. There's plenty to tell. You have a beautiful woman living in your home. Your mother wants to meet her. She's in Naples. She'll fly here. No need. She's already booked the ticket. Camille looked between them. I'm right here. You can include me in this conversation. Giuseppe grinned. I like her. She has spine. They ate together. Giuseppe told embarrassing stories about Luca as a child, about the time he got stuck in a tree, about his first communion when he tried to skip out to play soccer, about taking over the business and calling Giuseppe at midnight panicking about paperwork. Luca endured it with patience. Camille enjoyed every minute. After dinner, Giuseppe pulled Luca aside. Camille couldn't hear the conversation, but she saw the serious expressions. The way Giuseppe gripped Luca's shoulder. The way Luca nodded. When Giuseppe left, Luca was quiet. Everything okay? She asked. Yes. You're lying. I'm managing. That's not the same as okay. He looked at her. You don't need to worry about me. Too late. Something flashed in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or something warmer. Day 18. She woke to a nightmare again. This time Luca was there before she fully woke, sitting on the edge of her bed, hand on her shoulder. You're safe. It was a dream. She sat up, breathing hard. It was so real. I know. I was trapped again. But this time I couldn't breathe. The smoke was everywhere. You're here now. You're safe. She was shaking. He pulled her against him. Just held her. Let her breathe. Let her ground herself in the present. I'm sorry, she whispered against his chest. Don't apologize. I'm being ridiculous. You're being human. She pulled back, looked at him. He was so close. His hand still on her shoulder, the other on her waist, supporting her. His eyes were dark in the dim light from the hallway. Luca, she whispered. Don't. Don't what? Don't look at me like that. Like what? Like you want me to kiss you. Maybe I do. He closed his eyes. Camille. You feel it too. Don't pretend you don't. Feeling it and acting on it are different things. Why? Because you're vulnerable. Because you're living here because you have no choice. Because the last thing I want is for you to feel obligated. I don't feel obligated. You should. But I don't. He stood, put distance between them. Go back to sleep. Luca. Good night, Camille. He left. She lay back down, stared at the ceiling. Her heart was pounding. She could still feel where his hands had been, could still see the way he'd looked at her. He wanted her. She'd seen it. The want was mutual. But he was being careful, being respectful, not taking advantage, which somehow made her want him more. Day 19 was Saturday. No school. She woke late, found Luca on the rooftop. He was standing at the edge, looking out, lost in thought. She joined him, stood next to him. What are you thinking about? Everything. Nothing. That's cryptic. It's Saturday. I'm allowed to be cryptic. She smiled. Fair enough. They stood in comfortable silence, the city waking up below them, traffic sounds, life continuing. I've been here almost 3 weeks, she said. Yes, I told you 1 week. I remember. I should probably look for an apartment, start rebuilding. You should do whatever you want. What do you want? He looked at her. You know what I want. Tell me anyway. I want you to stay. Here? In the penthouse? Yes. Why? Because I like having you here. Because you make coffee in the morning and leave books on the couch. Because you hum when you cook. Because the apartment feels different with you in it. Different how? Like a home instead of just a place I sleep. Her breath caught. Luca. But I also want you to do what's best for you. If that's leaving, then leave. I won't stop you. What if I don't want to leave? Then don't. Even though it's complicated, especially because it's complicated. She turned to face him fully. I'm scared. Of me? Of this. Of wanting something I shouldn't want. Of letting myself feel something for someone who lives in a world I don't understand. That's smart. But I'm doing it anyway. That's brave. Or stupid. Maybe both. She laughed. He smiled. Real. Genuine. She'd never seen him smile like that. Kiss me, she said. Camille. I'm not vulnerable right now. I'm not feeling obligated. I'm asking. So kiss me. He looked at her, searching her face, looking for doubt. She didn't give him any. He stepped closer, cupped her face with both hands. His touch was gentle, reverent, like she was something precious. Then he kissed her. It was slow, careful, like he was giving her every chance to change her mind. She didn't. She kissed him back, wrapped her arms around his neck, pulled him closer. The kiss deepened. His hands moved to her waist, pulled her against him. She could feel his heart pounding, or maybe that was hers. She couldn't tell. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. He rested his forehead against hers. Stay, he said quietly. Not because you have nowhere else to go. Stay because you want to be here, with me. I want to be here, she whispered. With you. Even though it's complicated, especially because it's complicated. He kissed her again, softer this time, sweeter. When they went back inside, everything felt different. The space between them was gone. They moved around each other naturally, comfortable, like they'd been doing this for years instead of 3 weeks. That night, she didn't sleep in the guest room. Slept in his bed, with his arms around her. Nothing happened beyond sleeping, but it felt significant anyway, like a line they'd crossed together. Day 20 dawned with soft light through the windows. She woke in his arms. He was already awake, watching her. "Morning," she said. "Morning. How long have you been awake?" "A while." "That's not creepy at all." He smiled. "You're beautiful when you sleep." "Now it's definitely creepy. You're ruining the moment. I'm saving you from being a stalker." He kissed her, just because he could. "Want breakfast? Coffee first." "Deal." They got up, made coffee together. She wore his shirt. He wore sleep pants. It felt domestic, normal, like they'd been doing this forever. "I need to go into the office today," he said. "Business I can't avoid." "Okay. Tommy will be here, if you need anything." "I'll be fine." "I know. Do you?" "You're the bravest person I know." "I teach 3rd grade. That doesn't require bravery." "You nearly died, and 3 weeks later you're still here, in my home, kissing me, despite knowing exactly who I am and what I do. That's brave. Or stupid." "We've established it's probably both." She laughed. He kissed her again. "I'll be back by dinner. I'll be here. Promise?" "Promise." He left. She spent the day reading, making lesson plans, video chatting with Sarah, who had about 1,000,000 questions and opinions, all of which Camille ignored. When he returned that evening, he brought food, Italian from Piccolo Paradiso, the restaurant in the neighborhood his family had been going to for decades. "Giuseppe sent his regards," Luca said, "and also enough food for 6 people. Your uncle is a character. That's diplomatic." They ate on the rooftop. The October evening was cool but not cold. They wrapped in blankets, sat close, watched the sun set over Brooklyn. 20 days, she said. "Yes. You saved my life 20 days ago." "I did. And now I'm here, with you, by choice." "You are. It's strange how life works." "Strange how?" 3 weeks ago, I was actively avoiding you. Now I can't imagine not being here." He pulled her closer. "If you hadn't avoided me for 2 years, we could have done this sooner. Maybe. Or maybe we needed those 2 years first. Maybe I needed to see you go into that fire, to see who you really are beneath everything else. And who am I? Someone brave, someone who protects people, someone who reads romance novels and lets his uncle embarrass him, someone complicated but good. I'm not good. You're good to me. That's what matters." He kissed the top of her head. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." "I can live with that." They sat as the sky turned from orange to pink, to purple, to dark. The city lights came on below, Brooklyn glowing, Manhattan bright in the distance. "What happens now?" she asked. "What do you want to happen?" "I want to stay. Here, with you. I want to teach my students and come home to you. I want to figure out how to make this work despite everything that says it shouldn't. It won't be easy. I know. My life is complicated, dangerous sometimes. There will be things I can't tell you, things you're better off not knowing. I know that too. And you still want this?" "I still want this." He turned her face to his, kissed her, slow and deep. A promise, a beginning. "Then stay," he said. "Stay and we'll figure it out together." "Okay. Okay. I'm staying. Not temporarily. Not until I find something else. I'm staying because this is where I want to be. With me. With you. He kissed her again. Welcome home, Camille. Welcome home, she echoed. They stayed on the rooftop until the cold drove them inside, until they were shivering despite the blankets. He made her tea. She curled up on the couch. He sat next to her. She put her feet in his lap. It was simple, domestic, normal. And underneath that, the knowledge that nothing about this was simple or normal, that his world was complicated and dangerous, that there would be challenges ahead, that she was choosing to stay anyway. Later, in his bed, with his arms around her and Brooklyn quiet outside, she thought about the fire, about waking to smoke, about being trapped, about the door that wouldn't open, about him kicking it down, carrying her out, saving her life, about the 3 weeks since, the awkwardness, the tension, the humor, the moments of connection, the truth revealed, the choice made. Thank you, she whispered in the darkness. For what? For saving me. Stop thanking me for that. Why? Because I didn't do it for gratitude. Why did you do it? Because you were in there, and I couldn't leave you. You barely knew me. Didn't matter. It should have mattered, but it didn't. She turned in his arms, faced him. I'm glad it didn't matter. I'm glad you went in anyway. I'm glad you kicked down my door. Best thing I ever did. Really? Really. She kissed him. I'm glad I stayed. Me too. They fell asleep tangled together. 3 weeks after a fire that nearly killed her. 3 weeks after he carried her through flames. 3 weeks after her life changed completely. And somewhere in the building below, Brooklyn continued. The neighborhood Luca's family had controlled for generations. The territory he'd inherited. The responsibility he carried. But up here, in the penthouse, in his bed, with her in his arms, it was just them. Simple and complicated. Dangerous and safe. Wrong and right, and entirely theirs.